Hi, you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat were laid to rest with full military honours at Brar Square Crematorium in Delhi Cantonment. As per protocol, General Rawat was accorded a 17-gun salute at his funeral, where 800 service personnel were in attendance. Now, his daughters performed the last rites for their parents. Now, General Rawat and his wife died in an Indian Air Force chopper crash near Kunur in Tamil Nadu on Wednesday, along with 11 other armed forces personnel. Now, lone survivor, Group Captain Varun Singh, is currently battling for his life and is currently undergoing treatment. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, Home Minister Amit Shah, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Uttarakhand Chief Minister were there, among others, who paid their tributes. Moving on from that story now, in a written reply to the Parliament, Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has said that, and I quote, no farmer died as a result of police action during the farmers' agitation, end quote. Now, he also went on to say that the subject of compensation, etc., to the families of the deceased farmers in the farmers' movement is with the concerned state government. Now, according to several reports, over 700 farmers died during the protest, and this is something that Farmers Union themselves have said. Farm body Samyukta Kisan Morcha has demanded compensation in the meantime for the family members of the deceased. Remember, yesterday the farm unions announced that they have called off the protest and that they will start vacating the sites from Saturday, which is the 11th of December. Farmers have been protesting in Delhi's borders since November last year, and that protest has now been called off. On to COVID updates in the country right now. Dr. V.K. Paul, chief of India's COVID 19 task force and member health Niti Aayog, has said that the usage of masks in the country has declined to pre-second surge levels, and now India is in the dangerous zone, operating at a risky and unacceptable level. Meanwhile, the number of Omicron cases in the country have gone up to 32 as two more people tested positive for the variant in Gujarat's Jamnagar, and seven more have tested positive in Maharashtra. Remember, the first two cases in India were reported in Karnataka, and several other states also reported cases subsequently. In the meantime, India has reported 8,504 new COVID cases and 624 deaths in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, news coming in from across the world on Omicron. Hungarian Prime Minister has said that the fourth wave of the COVID pandemic appears to have peaked in the country. Now, according to Reuters, this is Reuters report, which has said that the Prime Minister also announced that the country would begin vaccinating children aged 5 to 11 against the virus from next Wednesday. Now, Hungary reported 7,310 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, in Israel, the country has extended its travel restrictions, including banning all foreign nationals for 10 more days. Now, it will be applicable till the 22nd of December. Israel has reported 21 cases of Omicron till now. Over 62% of its population is fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, it's not looking good in South Korea as well. Over 7,000 COVID cases have been reported in South Korea for the third consecutive day. And this is a report according to usnews.com, which says that it is the worst surge in the country since the pandemic began. There has been a rise in hospitalizations as well, according to several reports. People now have blamed the government as it lowered social distancing rules in November with an aim to restore pre-pandemic normalcy. Also, the news district authorities have raised bird flu alerts in Kerala's Alappuzha district. Now, samples have been sent to the National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases in Bhopal. Authorities said that culling of ducks will start in affected areas on Friday, and farmers will be compensated according to government norms. Sale of meat will also be regulated. Also in the news, the Committee on Empowerment of Women informed Lok Sabha that out of all the funds allocated to the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme, over 78.91% given to states has in fact been spent on advertising. Now, only 156.46 crore rupees out of the 848 crore rupee budget has been spent on the implementation of the scheme in the last 5 years. Now, the scheme was launched in 2015 and is aimed at generating awareness and improving the efficiency of welfare services intended for girls in India. Meanwhile, the Gujarat High Court on Thursday slammed the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation for removing food carts that sell non vegetarian food in the city. Now, the court was hearing a plea by 25 street vendors. Justice Biren Vaishnav said, and I quote, "What is your problem? You don't like non veg food. That is your lookout. How can you decide what I eat outside? Tomorrow you will decide what I should eat outside the house. Call the cooperation commissioner and ask him what he is doing. Tomorrow they will say I should not have sugarcane juice because it causes diabetes, or coffee is bad for the health." The court also went on to say, and I quote, "Because the party in power says you don't want to eat eggs, you want to stop them, you pick them up and take them away. Why are you doing that?" End quote. Now, the court warned that such actions should not be carried to satisfy the egos of some people. The civic body, however, said that only eateries that have encroached on public land faced action. Also in the news, ahead of Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi's visit to Goa, a group of Congress leaders from the Porvorim Assembly constituency tendered their resignations on Friday morning. Now, they claimed that the Congress was not serious about contesting the assembly polls. Legislative Assembly polls in Goa will be held in the month of February 2022. And on to news from across the world right now. Several countries like Australia, UK, and Canada have joined the US for the diplomatic boycott of Beijing Olympics that is scheduled to be held in 2022. Remember, this was first started by the United States. China's foreign ministry spokesperson in the response said, and I quote, "The US, Australia, Britain, and Canada's use of the Olympic platform for political manipulation is unpopular and self isolating, and they will inevitably pay the price for their wrongdoing." End quote. The countries have condemned China's alleged human rights atrocities against the Uyghur and other minorities community. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin has already accepted the invitation by Chinese leader Xi Jinping to attend. France President Emmanuel Macron, very interestingly, said that he will not join the diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics and called such a move, and I quote, "insignificant." On to sports news right now. Lewis Hamilton will face Max Verstappen in the final F1 race in Abu Dhabi on the 12th of December. It's been dubbed as the tightest title race in Formula One history. Now, it's the first time two drivers have gone into the last race of the season tied on points since 1974. And one piece of good news before we wrap up this bulletin, Indian architect Balakrishna Doshi has won the Royal Gold Medal 2022 by the Royal Institute of British Architects, one of the world's highest honors for architecture. Now, the Royal Gold Medal is, and I quote, "approved personally by Her Majesty the Queen and is given to a person or a group of people who have had a significant influence on the advancement of architecture," end quote. 94-year-old Doshi will receive the award at a special ceremony in 2022. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching.